GRIP-Birkman Coaches Cafe, and looking forward to talking about GRIP with its new look and some of the hidden features that are in your GRIP report, both the individual reports and team reports. John Blake has done most of the work on making sure that our website gets up and looking decent. Ken DeMar is our support guy who makes sure that everything keeps running properly. So between you guys and some of you that have been using the new site, have been using the new reports and digging down into that as we talk about how useful are some of these hidden features that everyone may not be as familiar with. John, picking up from the article as we, the article that came out this month, talking about people using the here's what I think of you. John and Ken both. Ken, do you have any idea how many people are actually using the here's what I think of you form now?
Well, I just ordered 21 reports for some university students, and I made the mistake of not unchecking the send me the here's what I think of you reports, and I would say everybody is using them.
That's coming from somebody that's getting the reports. I would say not enough people. That would be my quick. So often when I go in and check on, where we can go in and we can see, who's sent it out. I'm still surprised at the number of people that aren't utilizing that tool, that are missing out, right? That frankly, if we really believe that gifts are discerned most clearly in the context of relationship, a coach is one relationship. That's great. That's a great conversation to have. But most likely the coach is not the person that's closest to that person, that's really observed them in ministry. So how are we involving those people in the conversation? And here's what I think of you is just such a simple and yet powerful way to do that. And it's not limited anymore. It used to be, do it to 3 or to 5, and then you're done. Send it out to 50 people now, right? Like being able to get more input on that is really powerful. Mark Baugh, who's somebody that's helped out in a lot of our different things, man, he's somebody that's fully committed to here's what I think of you. Even for himself, he starts working with somebody new, like he'll send him another report. Hey, what are you seeing? And just for that feedback mechanism, almost just of seeing it and understanding it. So I really, I would say it. There are people that when we introduce it well, people see it. But I just think for a lot of coaches that have been trained, or if you took it and it was just sort of part of a team build or something like that, you've probably missed out on some of the depth and the value around the here's what I think of you.
Yeah, I find myself when I'm introducing the GRIP to somebody or the GRIP-Birkman, and I find I very specifically say, one of the options you have is the here's what I think of you. This is a great way to verify or challenge your own perspective on how your gifts affect the body. And so it's fun to be able to go back with them and say, well, let's look at the way that the people who filled out your here's what I think of you see you. And sometimes that is just so affirming. Oh, wow, all these people see it. And sometimes it's challenging. So why do you think, what context were that in that they would see a different gift? How would you explain that? It's a great conversation tool.
I just carried a group through a 6-week discipleship course in which we used the GRIP for that, introducing your spiritual gifts to the group. Mostly relatively new. No, I take that back. They're not relatively new believers. They were mostly new members of the church, but they're not new believers who are trying to find their place in ministry there. So as we were trying to encourage them to use the here's what I think of you, in that 6-week period, every week we would remind them, go back and do this. By the way, don't forget to send this to other people because we really want their input. This is looking at your gifts in the context of body life, the whole spiel. And in that particular group, only 6 people were in the group, and not one of them sent out a single here's what I think of you request. And it was like, wow, I'm wondering what happened. Why do you think people might not be sending it out?
I think one of the reasons is they feel like, well, I have my results.
Yeah.
Right. I've taken the assessment. I've gotten the PDF in my inbox. What, how would it change that? Right. Like what difference would it make, as far as what they say, or just that finality in your mind? Well, I'm done with the assessment, and not really thinking of gifts as an ongoing discernment process. And so when you have that mentality of, well, I'm done with, oh, I know my gifts now. The relevance of engaging others in the conversation isn't there as much.
I think they're also sometimes not sure. Sorry, I think sometimes they're not sure what they're asking of other people. And I try and explain, you know what, it's very simple. They're going to read 45 words, pick 10. They're going to choose the top few of them. It's easy. They'll do it in 5 minutes. And so you're not asking people to take on another 45-minute profile, and that helps them. And I think sometimes they're just concerned, am I bothering people? I don't know.
Yeah.
I think impatience with process, or as my Canadian friends say, process. It is impatience with process. I mean, we're just wanting quick results. We're busy people, and if I don't do a good job up front saying this is part of this, if I make it optional, then they will always choose it as optional. So if I just raise the bar and just say, this is part of it, here's the theological basis of it, here's the practical implications of it, and repent, be baptized or something. I don't know.
John, is there an option where the coach could say, have the report only come to me, and he could say to the people, you're not going to get your reports unless you've done here's what I think of you?
Not today.
Okay.
Listen to John. Yeah.
These are the sort of the programming back end, I think the thing that we've talked about, and that, we'll continue to brainstorm and love this group's feedback, is that if anyone logs in, whenever they log in, whenever they've completed, that we would continue to highlight and make that stand out, that here's what I think of you, even though it's on the lower section there of the left-hand side. Have it flashing, have it do something that, causes them to at least look at it, so that then they're reminded of that. We could talk about added triggers. I wouldn't want to put a barrier on that, Larry, but I do think we could put added triggers to where if they haven't completed it, then maybe we send them a reminder, to go back in and to send that out, type of thing. That would be something we could do, possibly. What do y'all think?
I wonder if it would be helpful for them to see what it is that they're sending to people, because they don't really see it. If they're not receiving one, they don't really have an idea of what it is they're sending them. They've just taken this full assessment. Are they sending to their friend a full assessment on them? We can explain, no, it's picking words and things. But again, if they're not from a context where people are, one, aware of spiritual gifts, or maybe they just don't have the background where they feel like the people that know them really are connected. Maybe they think, oh, this person's really gone off the deep end. What are they doing? All this kind of stuff. So they might not have that theological background. They might be coming from a different place. I think if they could see it, it does, because it's not too much. But sometimes if we don't know what we're sending to people and you're not sure if you want to send it, maybe then that just is too much hesitation right there, and they just kind of back away and don't. I love that it's still an option later on, that we don't close the door on that. I just was glancing back at someone did it years ago. They could still go in today and add in that piece. I love that that's an option. It's not just you missed the opportunity when you did it, but you still can go in and do that part. So
I find when I have a one-on-one and order a test for somebody, I will tell them about it when I get the information from them to order their test. My problem is when I get a group where they send me names and email addresses and I order that way, I don't have front end FaceTime. So what I use is a story when I'm doing the debrief, and I find that it's not a significant amount, but I get more will do it. I tell them about my gifts. I tell them early when I first started doing spiritual gifts that when I took that, the gift of mercy was always just above I kick the cat when I see it. Because I didn't see that in my life. But when I had people use this, here's what I think of you, they always pointed out mercy as one of my more obvious behaviors. And so this tool helps me get a more fuller picture of myself. And then they run off and they take it and send it to some people. One of the other things I do is I actually suggest that they send it to a couple of non-Christians that they know, but tell them they're sending it before they send it so that they're not weirded out by it. It does a couple things. One, it gives you a more full orbed picture of yourself, but every person who's done that, so always had a chance to witness too. So it's just something fun that I've done with a bunch of people.
How about if you just walk us through what we would do going to the website to trigger the here's what I think of you.
So let's go through what you just said, what you talked about first there. So I'm going to go to the website, idoe.org. I'm going to sign in as a coach. Then once you're signed in, your dashboard comes up first, right? And so from your dashboard, then it's right here down on the bottom left-hand side. Here's what I think of you. This then takes us to this, because I've had individuals complete it for me, takes me to automatically to my composite report, to everyone, to where then I can slice and dice the results of this. So if I want to just look at the associated gifts, if I want to go in alphabetical order versus ranked order, based on the phrases or based on the individuals who have reported and given me feedback, then I can view it in lots of different ways. But, as we mentioned, I can send this out to additional people. So I can go in here and just keep adding participants, as many as I want then, and send it. Or if people haven't sent it back, then I can resend it to them. And so it gives us a chance then to look at them responding. So there's that. But the other thing that I think as a coach is interesting then is that if we click on Teams at the top, and then and my computer will be a little bit slow right now on this, but when we then pull up an individual within this, then we can actually see for them. So Matt, can I use you as the example here real quick?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
So if I pull up Matt's report in here, then I can see it wants to actually see that you're a person. Oh, look, you are a person. That's beautiful. Okay. So when I then I can look at all of his information, and I can then see the different individuals that have completed his here's what I think of you, and I can get to his composite report as well. So as a coach, then I have this visibility to, out of intrigue, if you wanted to go through anyone that you have in your portal here, you can go and see if they've had anyone complete it or not. And then you could look at different individuals to see where they're at or see what that composite looks like for them. So even in coaching, then I have a way to directly pull this up and say, well, let's look and see what other people have said about you then. Let's take a look at that. And so again, gives you that opportunity then to be able to see that.
So we can see that Matt has 6 people that have rated him. And you can see what each of those individuals said about Matt, but you can also see the composite report with all of them together.
Correct.
Now, how would we coach Matt then to use this here's what I think of you composite as he's looking back at his spiritual gifts again?
a couple of different ways. One, generically, you know, sort of for everyone, you can just say, hey, you know, let's see how this aligns with what your report says with our conversation so far. Use it as, you know, one of the pathways of discernment is to understand that. So we have the assessment, we have the coaching conversation. Obviously we have experience, but then we also have this, you know, others' perspective as well that gives us added insight into that. And so this allows us to then say, I'll go ahead and click on it, Matt, here for you. But, you know, so his top one that came up most often is encourager. And we're seeing that from all of these different, you know, all the different individuals. But let's say, for instance, Matt had a strong belief that he had the gift of, let's pick one that's a little bit lower, that he really believed that he had the gift of mercy, but it only shows up 6 times. I might say, well, Matt, talk to me about these individuals. How might they have seen that gift in you? Why would that have been relevant for what they've, you know, for what they shared? Talk to me about your relationship with them. And that just helps then, differentiate where is it a situational because of our specific relationship versus this is a gift that we're seeing consistently throughout our life. And the example that I'll use in this is you know, I had my mom do this for me, as well as people that reported to me on a team where I was a little bit stronger of an authority figure. 2 very different perspectives. And so, you know, you could see in their words that here's my baby boy and here's the person that's giving me my paycheck as variants, but there was this common trend throughout it that was really more than about, you know, this idea of administration, this idea of exhortation for me that was a common trend through both of those. And so I think that's really what we begin to see is we identify the outliers, but we're looking for that common trend that carries us through and how that's showing up to other people.
You know, another way that I've seen some people use this to their advantage is there'll be someone who perhaps is not wanting to own a gift. One of the most common ones is when we have women who have the gift of pastoring. Because we look at that as shepherding, as caring for people, caring for the flock, not the office of pastor. And we have to constantly remind people of that we're not talking about the officer of the pastor or the person who's standing up preaching the word behind a pulpit every Sunday. And many times, many of them will have trouble owning that. But when it comes out from their, here's what I think of you, of how people see them caring for other people, sharing with them, the one word descriptors that are assigned to that gift, how people see them in that, it helps to affirm in them, oh yeah, guess what? I really do have this gift of shepherding other people.
The other thing that I, Larry, just wanted to pull out and you know, we'll have to update them a little bit, but Matt, back to what you had said, as far as it'd be nice, you know, they don't know what they're actually sending them. We did create some videos that we have both the process that we go through when we launch the new one, and we had what the contributors experienced, to where we created these 2 mini videos that take you through on that. Now, this one, I believe you know, again, the process is very similar, but if we were to pull this up, I think it's probably based on some of the older, yeah, it's got the old logo on it and some of those things. So it was done a little while ago, but it shows them the email that they get. It shows them then, you know, the process that we're asking those individuals to do. So might be something where we just need to update that a little bit and get that back available to people.
That's
And
great.
it's no longer
What
limited
page
to
is that on?
This is on GRIP-Birkman.com/here's what I think of you intro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Let me throw it in the chat for this meeting. Maybe we can put it in the
Yeah, we'll try to put it in the comment section for the videos
video as well.
The podcast. So you can go to the website and find some helps on that. So John, from the here's what I think of you, another hidden feature that you mentioned in the article was being able to reorder the spiritual gifts and team styles and bodybuilding roles, that a person can actually go in and shift those around if there is some question about the order of them, if they don't feel after coaching especially that that's really the order that they ought to be in. Or after seeing their here's what I think of you, they could get input from other people who give them some indications. Oh, guess what? Maybe the order of this isn't right. Walk us through how they can actually reorder those and when a person would want to do that.
So two ways that you can get to it to do the reordering, either from the dashboard, you can actually just hover over and you'll see how it changes the background color of it. So you can click on it directly there, or you can go down on the bottom left-hand side to where it says grip review process, click there either way. But if I click on just the spiritual gifts within this, it'll take me to the page that'll show the top 6 gifts, again, in order of what they're currently ranked in, with the definitions, characteristics, liabilities. At the bottom of this page, though, then you'll see that you have all of the gifts listed. And it's simply a click and drag drop. So I just, grab one of them and then I can move it around wherever I think that it should be in the order of that. Now you'll see on mine, for instance, when I initially got my report, administration would have been my top gift because by score, I had a score of 24, whereas my next 3 gifts below that had a score of 20. And so with that, then I don't believe administration probably is my lead gift. I don't believe it's probably my top gift through discernment, through conversations, through experience. I think it's a support to the word of wisdom. And so for me, I shifted it. I dropped that one down into that second slot. Now, it's one thing to be able to do that. We used to, be able to do that, but it wouldn't change anything. It didn't impact any of the other things. Now, when I come down here, I'd actually have to move something and I click on this save reorder, then it will update all the PDFs. It will update the dashboard. Everything will be updated based on that reorder that I just completed. And so it allows it to feel not like, oh, I kind of made a temporary little change where I made the system mad at me. No, this is really you making a shift. It's you in that discernment discovery process, understanding in a different way something that can be done there.
John, go to the bottom again for a second, just to show that. The other thing that I find that's helpful is every once in a while somebody will say, why did I get such high number on administration? I can actually click on administration and walk them through each of the questions. So so the number 1 question, you put a 5 out of 5. And so we can actually talk through the actual report and how they answered it. And often they'll come back and say, if I'm thinking about that, I probably would have put a 3. Now, it's not allowed to change at this point, but at least you can understand why it would make sense for administration to be second rather than first. So it just gives so much latitude to be able to have conversations with people about how they answered it and the implications of that. It's really a great asset to the conversation.
So that little arrow next to the gifts title, when we click on that, John, you're showing that we can see the actual questions, how I answered those questions for each of those gifts.
It sort of reinforces the definitions as well. Sometimes people just struggle with, Larry, with that idea of pastoring. And so, well, that has to do with this. And so when you can go in here and say, well, let's look at the definition that we use, let's look at the characteristics, and then let's look at the statements that align, again, sort of that anything that we can do to reinforce the gift of it rather than the specific role of it just gives us more opportunities to do that. Giving, people like to think of it as, well, I'm a kind person, I do acts of service. Well, no, the gift of giving is really about the financial side of things, right? It's not about those it's about the finances piece of it. And so then looking at this allows us to reinforce that aspect or those definitions as well.
Yeah.
Now, John, if somebody takes the test, they get to it and they restructure it and save it that way, and then I go to look at it, there's no way I can know what it originally was, is there?
Well, you will, because you see the totals over here.
Right, but if there's like, say, okay, like 3 numbers that were the same.
Yeah.
The 3 numbers that were the same when you get the initial report are done in alphabetical order.
Okay.
So really, you know, the reorder, like this is really your original, if you will. This is really
Okay.
what the assessment came out as. And this over here then indicates, or, you know, overall then indicates what the reordered structure would be.
And Les, you have to remember, the minute that they get done the report, before they've had a chance to reorder or whatever, when they say finish, you get immediately a copy of that. So you have their original. Then if they go back in and change it, you're gonna see that it's different from the report you got. So you can do the comparison that way. And but what you get is the unchanged, unadulterated report immediately sent to your email.
Okay.
Let's take mine as an example, just real quick on that, you know, for that. So on my report, if we went with top 6, then you would have 2, 4, and then you would have this 16, but then I have however many that are 15 here, where only one of them would be included. And the only one that would be included would be the one that is the highest alphabetical letter, right? And so you just got to keep that in mind. Now, what we found, and the reason there's top 6 is that most, you know, 95, 98% of the time, your top 3 are not going to be out of your top 6. That's just not typically what happens, right? So, but that's sort of that would be the, you know, the way to understand that as a coach, to take a look at that.
Plus, keep in mind that while we're looking at the top 6 in the verbal report, on the dashboard, we're only seeing the top 4.
Correct.
And so if there is a tie, let's say, for the like 4th, 5th, 6th, if there were a tie in there, then this could be really important. The individual can see this and the coach can see it too.
Let me throw in one other sort of little hidden thing for coaches. One of the easiest ways to tell if your coach has actually gone through and done any review at all is whether or not on their dashboard they've filled out whether they're up front or alongside.
Yeah.
If they haven't done any review, then this won't have an answer yet when you get the PDF. If they have this answer, then it means that they actually have at least read through the review process. So there's it's a little, because this is on essentially the last page of the review where they make this determination. And so as a coach, just know mentally, if you get one where it says, well, why is it saying, you know, why is it blank? Or it says, you know, either, or something like that. For you, that's the cheat sheet that essentially says they haven't really done the review process yet, which means as a coach, then go a little slower. You know, they haven't done all their homework to get ready for this meeting, which means that process wise, they're starting a little bit further back than those that have taken the time to read through, to really read the definitions, characteristics, liabilities, those sorts of things.
So when it comes up blank, where I experience God's power, and it comes up blank, or it says either one,
To be determined.
Click on that.
To be determined. There you go.
Yeah, you click on it, and it takes you to the review that's also highlighted in bright yellow, right? To remind them this is important to do this review. That's where they get to select then upfront alongside or upfront slant alongside, right?
Correct.
Okay, good. We definitely want them to do that review to talk about where they're using their gifts. This is really important going with what's just above it, whether their gifts are equipping or supporting, or both equipping and supporting. So then that helps to reinforce that. How are they leading? Are they leading from up front with their gift, or are they wanting to be alongside other people as they're using their gift? There's another hidden thing that you pointed out, and that is we can actually have the gifts assessment now in other languages. how do we get to the other language with people when they're wanting to do the assessment in another language? First of all, if I've got someone on my team or I've got a group of people that are speaking another language, how do I get them to be able to do the assessment in the other language first?
So under the order process, then when you click on GRIP and go through on this, then it will ask you in the order process now what language you want it to be in. And so you get to select that. The reason that's important on the order process is then the introductory email that they get will actually be in their language as well. It will be in that other language when they get the introduction to come in on that. So this is, as a coach or as someone that's ordering for others, you get to determine that. So and it's by report. So you have 4 different people and 2 are going to do it in Spanish and 1 person's going to do it in French. Great. You can still do that all in the same order. Doesn't have to be for everyone as you're going through that. If they've already taken it and it was before we had all the languages, it was before that, again, as we're doing updates, for a lot of us, staying current on something like GRIP, that's challenging, right? I completely understand. There's so many different things going on, but you can now go back in and help others change it into their heart language, into their the language they choose under profile, and then going to user information. Helps if you click on the right button there. Once you get to this user information, I can come here and I can change it over into Russian. And when I hit that submit button, then I have to be careful when I do this, but everything goes over into Russian.
So everything we see in your dashboard is in Russian.
Is now currently in Russian. Everything that's been translated. Let's be clear on that, because
yes,
GRIP has been translated. The GRIP plus things, which would be this is the values and this is the discerning direction. Those things are not translated into foreign languages at this point. Those are only in English. Everything that is GRIP, so the gifts triangle, that is translated.
The coach could see the report in one language, and the client can actually see the report in another language, and you can switch back and forth between any of the languages with that report. Well, John, there is one more thing, and that is the opportunity to let team members see the team's reports. Multiple people can have access to the teams, and I don't know how many coaches are using the team option here to look at the organizations and teams, but talk to us a little bit about how we can better use this option of seeing teams and creating teams in the GRIP report.
Yeah. Again, it's fairly new, and so I would say not enough, right? Like we want people, and the way that we've communicated, the way that we talk with coaches, GRIP is a team-based spiritual gifts inventory that allows us to understand how the Holy Spirit works powerfully in and through us, right? Not individuals. This is really centered around teams, really centered around how this works together. And so that just makes the whole team side of what we have in the portal so critical in so many ways. So because it's new, we've tried to, make it as user-friendly as possible to create new teams, to manage teams that you have. I just pulled up a team that we have created for the IDOE leadership team. And within this, if I wanted to add new people, let's say that Grady joined the team, I can, if Grady's somebody that I have access to, then I can simply click on his name, hit apply, and then he joins the team. So he's now a part of the team. It's that easy to do, to add people to the team, to move people around. Very simple. But two click features that become really important once you've set up a team. One is the leader button, and then one is the member access button over here. So knowing who the team leader is here for GRIP isn't quite as essential as when you're doing discerning direction, is where it becomes really critical that we understand who that team leader is. but it automatically, the team leader automatically has access to all of the team reports. So as a coach, if I designate someone as a team leader, then they automatically get view to those reports. Just know that offhand. If I had nobody as a team leader in this team, then nobody would get to see the reports outside of me as the coach then if I created it. Right now, so if I uncheck this, then me as the coach, I happen to be a team leader on this one as well, but I have visibility along with these individuals. But what I can do then is I can say, this is a team where we're going to be doing a team build. And part of what I want them to do is to look at our team as a whole. I want them to start processing that. I want them to start thinking about how our gifts look together. Then I can click on this button. And now what happens in their account, in their portal, when they click on teams, then they will see that this comes up so that they can click and download this GRIP team report. So again, that becomes then a GRIP report that pulls up over here, right? So you can see then the team leaders are identified on this side, but I can begin then to see the grid as well as the graphs of our team styles, of our bodybuilding roles, and then this overview report, and less back to the question of original versus reordered. Original scores on all the gifts, the reordered is in the parentheses as far as on this overview page. So that original number versus that. So again, if I give it to everyone has access to this, they'll see everything. Otherwise, it goes to just the coach or the team leader has visibility to see all the gifts, the team styles, and they're all three on just different tabs within the Excel sheet that you have view to. The one thing that I'll say on team styles, just because, even as Les was talking about at the beginning of this conversation about how central team styles really are to us really having that conversation, just a reminder that there is, based on the team styles represented on your team, we have some team characteristics, the team strength, the potential liabilities, and team need area characteristics, and the potential team impact. That's just, and that's not based on the individual, that's now based on the collective. So again, helping us get our mind into this space of collectively as a what's unique about our team mix? What's unique? Where do we have some strengths that we might want to really lean into? And so the beauty of being able to use the portal for teams is that you can create as many teams as you wanted to. So let's say that we're going to have a task force that's going to specifically talk about, improving the GRIP-Birkman coaches training or something like that. And it's going to be a subset of this team. Well, I can create a different team just with those 4 people and see what their unique mix is going to be. And, obviously there's no cost for creating new teams, and the reports become really simple and powerful to use in some of those contexts, even down at the project level.
John, I was just going to say, if your team hasn't taken the R values or the discerning direction, if you try and click on those boxes and you hit next, you won't get a report. And so there's you have to have your people taken those reports for them to come up here.
And what you'll see sometimes is if some of them have and some haven't, then right, when you click over to an R, but this is the R values one, then it'll come up as not completed. So you'll have view into it. If you have sort of some people that have, some that haven't, then as you click over into these, then you'll be able to see who's completed and who hasn't completed that.
So, John, can we go back real quick to that download that team report? I wanted to go to the team 3 overview, team 3 report. I think the parentheses number is the order of gift. So is it the first gift, second gift, third gift, fourth fourth gift, or fifth gift.
Right.
Sixth.
Correct. Yeah,
So,
it's in the ranked order. So for me, my highest would be a word of wisdom was gonna have a little parentheses one by it on me. It's even though that number was 20, and if we went to administration, it would say that 24, which was that score of 24. For me, it's ranked number 2 though.
Right. So in this situation, when you're looking at this as a coach, you can look at Tammy Rose and say her number 1 gift was administration. So you can see that right away. What was her number 1 gift? But for Jennifer, it's her 5th gift, if you look at that top line. So it just helps in understanding where they have decided that gift goes. Just wanted to clarify that.
Oh, good. Yeah. And so to continue that thought, then this spiritual gifts grid will identify the top 6 in that rank order. So it will go down through the top 6. So, like for me, if you went to my 6th gift, I don't remember what it is, I would say that's not a very dominant gift in my mix. Whether it's there, probably situationally type of thing. So.
John, a couple of things if I could on this. One, for the team report, it really emphasizes that it's important that not only are people reviewing their report, but they're going in and making the adjustments. Otherwise, the team report isn't, if you just print it out the PDF and you process it alone, you really need to go back in and make those adaptations so that it fits. One question though, just real quick, just a logistical thing for it. A team leader, when they go to their dashboard, are they seeing, because as a coach, I'm seeing teams up there and everything that's listed there, as a member who's just taken it, but they happen to be a team leader, are they seeing the same thing, or where are they going to find that they can get to that team report? Is it the same place?
They won't have organization here. Only coaches will have that, but they will have, and there says something like member over here and teams, if they're designated as a team leader. Okay. So it's an adjustment that we're making. So again, this is sort of that continuous improvement mentality that we have as an organization and certainly in this process. So what will happen is they will see members that will be all of the members of their team, and they will see teams that they're a part of. The only thing that a team leader, if they're designated as a team leader, won't be able to do is order a GRIP-Birkman. They won't be able to do that. Outside of that, they'll have visibility into this, into the reports and that type of thing, to where then they can see the information.
Okay. And we as a coach, we're the one who sets them up as the team leader and creates the team for them, right?
Correct. Yeah. Now the variation on that is if in the ordering process they do the ordering themselves, then they can identify who the team leader is at the beginning there in that process.
Okay. Thanks.
I've discovered the hard way, I can't show this report to the team leader until after we have the team discussion. Because I did it once and it altered his words, and he was using words he didn't know what they were, but they were on the report, so he felt he needed to use them. And so what I now do is I do the team build, and then I meet with the team leader, show him the reports, and then I hook them up so he can access them.
I think that's
just human nature.
I think that's really wise. I do the same thing with the member access, actually. So I've been doing a ton of our values things of late, where just teams I'm just going in and doing values things. And I won't click the member access until after I've done the team experience with them. And then I'll click the member access. Cause I don't need them or want them trying to figure things out until we've had more conversation. And once we've had that conversation together, then I want them thinking about it. I want them seeing it and digging into it more. But for them to try to do that on their own, it can skew that initial meeting a little too far.
Wow. So John, that's 5 different things that are hidden in the GRIP report that people might not have been aware of, but some really helpful, useful,
very helpful
can use. What other things are you guys noticing about this? Any other comments or questions that you might have about what we've talked about?
I'm pretty excited about these switching the languages. One of the churches that was in this group I just did a couple of weeks ago, it has an English group, it has a Spanish group that speaks English, and they have a Spanish group that don't speak English. And I'm working with the pastor, and I'm actually hoping to get him to get trained to become a coach. Because we keep sending him to other countries with our missionaries as a translator. But anyway, with his church, his English speaking group came to the event, and one of the Spanish who speaks English came, but he was struggling to keep up with the conversation. So I was able to, while we had ordered it all in English, I was able to turn his stuff into Spanish for him so he could have it in front of him. It made it a lot easier for him.
Yeah.
But I'm going to work with the pastor and do the rest of his church leadership that are only Spanish speaking. So I will be able to have their tests, which they'll take in Spanish, in English. He'll have them in Spanish, and all of us will be together, and he'll be my translator working with them, but I'll actually be able to see what I'm talking about with their reports in front of me. I'm really excited about that. And I didn't know how to do that. I bothered Anna Dawn a couple of weeks ago, and she had got some information, and I practiced it now, and I wrote back to her and says, it works. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Fantastic.
Very cool.
I can't help but think this is just so much work. Thank you, Ken, whoever. I mean, this is incredible. And I'm thinking of sitting in Paul Ford's garage in Albuquerque many, many years ago and just thinking, oh my goodness, look, we've come a long ways, baby. And I mean, Paul's just got to be thrilled. And this is incredible. I mean, I'm just really humbled and blessed to be a part of this for so long. And wow, it's good. Thank you.
Rob, I saw you unmuted a while ago, but then you muted again. Did we miss the comment? Because I don't want to miss a comment from Rob.
No, I was just, it was way back with the reordering your spiritual gifts, and the idea that if somebody's taken the report quite a while ago, if you walk them through it again, sometimes their gifts have changed depending on their ministry circumstances. And that's another thing that I really like about the ability to reorder, that as your ministry circumstances change, sometimes your top gifts move a little bit as well, based upon where you are at, and having the ability to change that even later on, I think is really significant.
Yeah. In fact, you really got two options, don't you? You can go in and you can order them. Sometimes somebody feels strongly enough about it that they actually want to do the assessment over again. And that's a possibility. Now, Ken, if someone does decide to do the assessment again, what's the process for that?
Well, it's simply letting support know. And what we recommend, because when you write it again, it will erase on the website your old report. So, or unless you have a second email address. So we have people do it both ways. So there's people who say, I have the same email address. I wrote it 5 years ago. I want to write it again. We can reorder it. And when they click on, it erases their old report. So often what we'll do then is simply say, log on first, download your old report. Now go ahead and write the new report, and then you'll see the difference between the two. Or if you have a separate email address, log in with the other email address, order in the other email address. But it is possible to write the report twice. The site doesn't keep both reports if you're using the same email. That's the main thing to remember.
If they do a second email, you can create a team with their two reports, and they can see the changes on one piece of paper.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But keeping in mind that if they want to do it using the same email and that report is going to be erased, they still have to contact support to do that. You can't just log on and say, I want to do it again. You have to write support@itowe.org to get that set up, right?
Correct. Yes.
Good.
So,
right. Hey, guys, what else?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ken.
I was going to say, so what'll happen though is if you don't notify us, even though you've paid for a new report, when you log on, it'll just give you your old report. So you need to let us know that this is a new report.
Support@itowe.org. We need to all keep that email address in mind all the time. Anna Dawn is our go-to person for anything related to GRIP-Birkman.
Yeah.
Super.
One more question. Which browsers work best with I2E? I know I use several browsers, and sometimes I get hung up. Then I have to switch browsers because some of the tools don't work.
It's a great question. I use Chrome almost exclusively, so I don't know how it plays nice with the other ones.
Firefox doesn't like it.
Firefox is not a fan. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, so now I use Firefox, but and several times I've had to go back to our web designer and say, this needs to work in Firefox as well. But I admit that Firefox has more protections against pop-ups and that kind of stuff, which cripples its ability to get some of to jump to the other reports. So using Chrome is usually a safer bet.
So I use Chrome, and Safari works fine, and iOS works fine with the iPhones. John, what else?
I just appreciate y'all being here and continuing to give us feedback on what would help you as coaches as you're working with teams. That's how we determine and prioritize, the initiatives, the efforts, everything from, hey, I want to be able to send out, here's what I think of you, to more people, to we need a team report where we can see these things. These are all created because of coaches' feedback, because we're hearing what would be valuable to you in the platform that you wish it would be able to do. And so, we take feedback really seriously. That's our leadership team is going to be getting together next week. And again, setting priorities for where we want to be investing the resources that the Lord's entrusted to us, and providing the opportunity for individuals and teams to come alongside in being a part of that journey with us. And one way that coaches get to do that is by providing the feedback on how you can continue to use the tool effectively with your teams, and sharing what you're learning. Les, I love these calls, and because I get to hear the case studies of how you're using it and what you're learning. So valuable to us, so valuable to be able to do that. So thanks everyone for joining, being a part.
Well, guys, here we are at the top of the hour again after a great conversation. We certainly do appreciate it. Keep those cards and letters coming. Just make sure they all come in the form of emails. And we'll be happy to hear your suggestions about ways that we can keep improving. Meanwhile, we hope to see you next month. And until then, just keep doing everything you can to build unity in the body of Christ so more people will know Jesus. Lord bless you all. Bye-bye now.